Welcome back to our AWS certification series. If you haven't seen the previous videos, we recommend checking them out first to review earlier questions along with their answers and explanations. Now, let's dive into the next set of questions. Which of the following are part of the support categories provided by AWS Trusted Advisor? Correct answer: Operational Excellence. Explanation: AWS Trusted Advisor provides real-time guidance to help provision resources following AWS best practices. The core Trusted Advisor support categories include cost optimization, performance, security, fault tolerance, service limits. Operational excellence is sometimes included in support plans with enhanced access, especially in business and enterprise tiers. Why other options are incorrect? Agility. This is a general benefit of cloud computing, not a specific Trusted Advisor category. Elasticity. While a key feature of cloud computing, it is not a Trusted Advisor support category. Well-architected framework. This is a separate AWS tool, not a category under Trusted Advisor. A company needs to migrate 40 terabytes of data quickly from on-premises to S3, with low cost and limited internet. What is the best AWS service? Correct answer: AWS Snowball. Explanation: AWS Snowball is a physical data transport device ideal for transferring large amounts of data faster than over slow internet. Why others are incorrect? S3 transfer acceleration speeds up uploads but not ideal for 40 terabytes over 100 megabits per second. Direct Connect, not quick for a one-time setup and has additional costs. Storage Gateway for hybrid storage, not one-time bulk transfer. A company needs a low-maintenance way to securely store database credentials. Which service should they use? Correct answer: AWS Secrets Manager. Explanation: Secrets Manager helps securely store, rotate, and retrieve credentials and API keys with minimal effort and integrated encryption. Why others are incorrect? KMS manages encryption keys but not full secrets management. Config tracks resource configurations, not credentials. Guard Duty for threat detection, not storing secret. Which AWS service enables a secure and encrypted network connection between your office and AWS? Correct answer: AWS VPN. Explanation: AWS VPN provides ISEC encrypted connectivity from on-premises networks to AWS VPCs over the Internet. Why others are incorrect? Amazon Connect Cloud Call Center Service. Route 53 DNS and domain registration, not networking. API Gateway for building APIs, not connectivity. After terminating an EC2 instance, which service can show who made the API call? Correct answer: AWS CloudTrail. Explanation: AWS CloudTrail logs all API activity, including user identity and actions like terminating EC2 instances. Why others are incorrect? IAM manages permissions but doesn't log activity. CloudWatch monitors metrics logs, not detailed API activity. X-Ray traces application performance, not administrative actions. A company needs to connect multiple application data sources in a serverless architecture with minimal code. Which service should it use? Correct answer: Amazon EventBridge. Explanation: EventBridge is event-driven and serverless, enabling integrations between AWS services and external sources without custom code. Why others are incorrect? Lambda requires writing and deploying code. SQS, message queuing, not integration orchestration. CloudWatch, primarily for monitoring and alarms. What AWS infrastructure brings compute and storage closer to users for latency-sensitive applications? Correct answer: local zones. Explanation: AWS local zones bring compute, storage, and database closer to users for low-latency workload. Why others are incorrect? Edge locations, primarily used for CDN, not full compute services. Regions, larger geographical areas, not close proximity. AZs inside a region, not necessarily near end users. How can a solutions architect ensure that unhealthy EC2 instances are automatically replaced? Correct answer: AWS auto-scaling. Explanation: auto-scaling automatically detects unhealthy EC2 instances and replaces them to maintain desired instance count. Why others are incorrect? Guard duty threat detection, not instance management. Shield DDoS protection. ECS container orchestration, not for general EC2 fleet replacement. What enables secure, private access to an S3 bucket from an EC2 instance without using the Internet? Correct answer: VPC endpoint. Explanation: a VPC endpoint for S3 allows private communication between a VPC and S3 without traversing the Internet. Why others are incorrect? Internet Gateway, public access, not private. NAT Gateway allows outbound Internet access, not needed for S3. VPN secures traffic between on-prem and AWS, not within VPC. Which solution provides a private, low-latency connection from a remote office to AWS? Correct answer: use AWS Direct Connect. Explanation: AWS Direct Connect offers dedicated private connections with low latency and consistent performance. Why others are incorrect? Public Internet, not private or low latency. VPN tunnel, secure but dependent on Internet performance. VPC peering connects two VPCs, not from on-premises to AWS. Which AWS service enables users to set up a managed MySQL database without handling infrastructure setup? Correct answer: Amazon RDS. Explanation: Amazon RDS supports managed relational databases including MySQL, PostgreSQL, and others, handling backups, patching, and maintenance. Why others are incorrect? Redshift data warehousing, not general MySQL. DMS used for migrating data between databases. DynamoDB NoSQL database, not MySQL. A company needs to transfer 500 terabytes of image data to AWS in a cost-effective way. What service should they choose? Correct answer. AWS Snowball. Explanation. AWS Snowball is a physical device optimized for large-scale data transfer, efficient and economical for 500 terabyte. Why others are incorrect. S3 is the destination, not the transfer mechanism. VPN, not practical for such large data volumes. Direct Connect, can be expensive and not designed for one-time bulk transfer. Which AWS service helps centrally manage security alerts and findings across services and partners? Correct answer. AWS Security Hub. Explanation. Security Hub aggregates, organizes, and prioritizes security alerts from AWS services and partners. Why others are incorrect. Guard Duty generates threat detection alerts, but doesn't aggregate others. Trusted Advisor offers general best practices, not a CSPM service. EventBridge, Event Bus for integration, not for managing security posture. Which AWS storage solution is optimized for highly durable, scalable object storage? Correct answer. Amazon S3. Explanation. S3 is designed for 99.999999999% durability, perfect for storing any amount of unstructured object data. Why others are incorrect. EFS Scalable File Storage, not Object Storage. FSX File System, not Object Storage. EBS Block Storage for EC2, not as durable or scalable as S3. Which of the following is a core pillar of the AWS well-architected framework? Correct answer. Operational excellence. Explanation. The 5 pillars include operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization. Why others are incorrect. Efficiency and redundancy, not a defined pillar. Business optimization, not part of the core framework. High availability, a feature under reliability, not a pillar. Which AWS tool allows users to estimate costs before deploying resources? Correct answer. AWS Pricing Calculator. Explanation. The pricing calculator estimates monthly costs based on selected services before deployment. Why others are incorrect. Budgets monitors spending after services are provisioned. Cost and Usage Report shows historical usage and charges. Cost Explorer helps analyze past and current spending. Under the AWS Shared Responsibility Model, what is AWS responsible for? Correct answer. Hardware and infrastructure. Explanation. AWS handles the physical infrastructure, including hardware, networking, and facilities. Why others are incorrect. Client-side encryption, customer responsibility. User permissions, managed by customers via IAM. Firewall config, customers manage security groups and ACLs. Which AWS service provides protection against SQL injection and monitors app access patterns? Correct answer. AWS WEF. Explanation. AWS WEF helps protect web applications from SQL injection and other web exploits and can log access info. Why others are incorrect. Network firewall secures VPC boundaries, not app layer. RDS for SQL Server Database Engine, no web layer protection. Guard duty, detects threats but doesn't actively block them. A company wants to control traffic in and out of an EC2 instance. What should they use? Correct answer. Security group. Explanation. Security groups are stateful firewalls for EC2 instances, controlling inbound and outbound traffic. Why others are incorrect? Route tables define traffic routing, not security rules. WEF protects web apps, not EC2 directly. Network ACL controls traffic at the subnet level, not specific to an instance. Which is the lowest cost AWS support plan that includes all trusted advisor check? Correct answer. AWS Business Support. Explanation. Business support includes full trusted advisor checks and 24/7 access to cloud support engineers. Why others are incorrect? Enterprise support, more expensive, includes business-level features. Developer support only includes limited trusted advisor check. Basic support, no access to support engineers or full trusted advisor. A company is developing a shopping recommendation feature using a graph database for a mobile app. Which AWS database service should they use? Correct answer. Amazon Neptune. Explanation. Amazon Neptune is a purpose-built graph database service optimized for storing and querying highly connected data, ideal for recommendation engines. Why others are incorrect? Aurora Relational Database, not designed for graph workload. DocumentDB best for document-based use cases. DynamoDB NoSQL key value and DocumentDB, not suitable for graph relationship. Which AWS feature is used to grant temporary access to AWS resources? Correct answer. IAM roles. Explanation. IAM roles allow temporary access to AWS resources, often used for federated users, services, or applications. Why others are incorrect? ACLs control traffic in out of resources, not access to services. SCPs apply permission boundaries at the account or OU level. IAM Access Analyzer helps identify publicly accessible resources, but doesn't grant access. A stateless application that can tolerate downtime and needs to reduce compute cost should use which EC2 pricing model? Correct answer. Spot instances. Explanation. Spot instances offer significant cost savings by using unused EC2 capacity. Best for stateless, fault-tolerant workload. Why others are incorrect? Reserved instances, good for steady-state workloads, not flexible or cheap enough here. On-demand, flexible but more expensive. Dedicated instances provide isolated hardware, costly and unnecessary for this use case. A company wants secure, scalable user sign-up and login with access control for a database-backed web app. What AWS service meets this need? Correct answer. Amazon Cognito. Explanation. Cognito handles user authentication, authorization, and user pools, ideal for securely managing web and mobile app user access. Why others are incorrect? Guard duty, threat detection, not authentication. Secrets Manager manages secrets like DB credentials, not user identity. Security groups act as firewalls for resources, not identity access tools. Which AWS feature works at the subnet level to control both inbound and outbound VPC traffic? Correct answer. Network ACLs. Explanation. Network ACLs are stateless filters that allow or deny traffic at the subnet level, applied before security group rules. Why others are incorrect. VPC flow logs monitor traffic but don't control it. AWS Shield DDoS protection, not traffic filtering. Amazon Inspector, security assessment tool, not traffic controller.